If you're considering getting the COVID-19 vaccine and you want to make sure you prepare your body and do all that you can to support the vaccine integration into your body and also minimize maybe some of the side effects you've been hearing, today I'm going to share with you a little segment from my Saturday live show. I share with you information before you get the vaccine and also the day of and after you get the vaccine. So without further ado, let's dig into my live show. For many of you who want to look at getting the vaccine when you have the ability to do so, but are concerned about the side effects or minimizing and mitigating your risk for developing side effects or even possibly an allergic reaction, I want to share with you a question that was posed by Tanya Durant last week here on our live show. We go live every Saturday. It's a private community here on YouTube, and Tanya is one of our members. And the big question is, Dr. Melissa, next week, can you go over preparing our bodies for the vaccine if we decide to get it? And obviously, I want to communicate that if you do decide to get the vaccine, that is definitely individual. I'm not going to make any kind of commentary on whether you do or you don't, but we have a lot of good science behind the efficacy that makes me feel comfortable. We are dealing with a new type of vaccine. It's not a live vaccine. It is mRNA, and that is kind of a manufactured, encoded or coded RNA, DNA type of style vaccine that triggers an immune response and helps your body create these little proteins that basically cap the virus if you come into contact with it. It helps to trigger your immune response as well as to begin to develop antibodies. So as far as Tanya and answering a lot of the questions, there's a multi-step approach that I take for anybody. And in fact, Gabriel is had been as an infant on an altered scale for his vaccine schedule. And this coincides with anybody, even adults. When I traveled, I had to have yellow fever and, typhoid boosters and all that stuff, Hep B and Hep C and, or not Hep C, Hep B and Hep A boosters. And vaccines. And this is across the board. There's a kind of a protocol that we have for preparing your body and your immune system for optimal response. And in this case, it's very much similar. The key is always, you want to approach moving into a vaccine, you want to approach it with having decreased inflammation levels. Then you also want to support and bolster your adaptive immune response. Then you want to address vaccine symptoms. And also you want to address any of the post kind of inflammatory effects. So it's really an anti-inflammatory program that we put together. And then also continuing immune support. So I'll share with you these kind of step-by-steps here. Obviously, for any folks that have autoimmunity, you do not want to enter getting a vaccine in a state of a flare. So for Hashimoto's, for like Brian's condition, we want to make sure his platelet levels are at their highest level. And they've actually been really great lately. But then also for folks that have MS, that rheumatoid arthritis, and there are a lot of folks that might be watching who have unknown, undiscovered autoimmune conditions within their body. And so that is something that can be a factor that maybe you're unaware that you're dealing with autoimmunity. And if you don't take the right precautions and preparatory steps, that you might experience a little bit more of an effect. So I want to share with you the first step is to really reduce your inflammation levels. That, at the end of the day, inflammation is the root cause of illness and disease. We want to lower the inflammation that we experience in our joints, in our organs, in our glands. It starts with the anti-inflammatory diet. So eliminating the gluten, eliminating the dairy, eliminating a lot of the inflammatory foods, your processed foods, your deli meats, sugar, alcohol, all of those items are very caustic and inflammatory producing. Also, I love to recommend eating right for your blood type. The blood chemistry with the chemistry of food when it breaks down is really wonderful for your blood typing. in the foods. And so some individuals like O, I'm an O blood type, we have a much greater response to gluten than some other blood types. But for us, it causes a lot of inflammation and can cause thyroid imbalance. So honing in on your diet and restricting anything that's going to cause inflammation, but then also incorporating really wonderful herbals. Like turmeric is one of my favorites. Turmeric is across the board wonderful for lowering your inflammation levels. It is very healing. It is very lymphatic promotive. There's a ton of research on turmeric specifically in terms of its ability to lower your inflammation levels. And with regard to that, inflammation, a lot of the source of inflammation can be elevations in your cortisol level. So when you have high stress level, that can trigger and be one of the root factors and causes behind inflammation within your body, systemic inflammation. So we want to address sometimes you need to test them, address those cortisol levels. And then the last one to reduce inflammation that we know research-wise, meditation, I love it, yoga. Now we've got yoga on YouTube, it's free, there's a lot of breathing exercises, but I go back to tons of research on that. And my favorite book, The Healing Self by Deepak Chopra, he goes into like one whole chapter about breathing and meditation. It's better than any pill that you can get over the counter to lower inflammation and reduce those stress levels. So that's really huge. Now, the other thing that is a factor is you want to bolster. And it's not always elevate. So I'm very cautious about saying boost, enhance your immune response, because sometimes that boosting and enhancing can be an autoimmune response. We want to modulate and regulate your immune response. And I've taught, if you're following me for a while, and maybe even you downloaded some of my guides, and I'll get to those here in a minute, I'm always recommending these items. And these also have a lot of research. These are highly backed with research and evidence that they can help fortify and bolster and modulate your immune response. So vitamin D, we know, especially with COVID, vitamin D, it needs to be in optimal levels, and those are ranges above 70, the 84, 85 and above, hovering around 100, 101, 110. That range is an ideal, optimal range. For many folks, they're not getting their vitamin D tests. And if you need a test, I'll make sure I post the link down below. But vitamin D is really critical. Another compound that I absolutely adore, and I've done some video on this, so I'll make sure I post below, moringa. Moringa is wonderful as well for bolstering and supporting your immune response. We also see that helps to enhance the antibodies that your body will develop. Now, obviously, I always want to caution, I received a note from a provider who's like, I had a cancer patient, she wanted to take moringa, she watched your video. Always check with your medical providers, check with your pharmacist if you're taking medication or on any type of, immune lowering protocols. Some of these might not be effective. And this might also qualify for folks who are on the autoimmune, mild chemotherapy and drugs that are supposed to disengage the immune response. So the other ones, you guys see my favorite herbal sea bumblebee D. That is fantastic for really elevating the immune response, but also modulating it. I also love functional mushrooms, and there is just a ton of research. Chaga, actually, friends, chaga I love. Chaga is this funky compound. It's not necessarily a mushroom. It's not necessarily a fungus, but it's in this weird category. Grows on a particular Siberian pine, and it has the most naturally occurring antioxidants in any living being. So on the ORAC, the antioxidant scale, it's number 1, way high. So if you need to help support your system, lower your inflammation levels, minimize free radical damage, turnover cell tissue, and support your immune system, chaga falls into that category where we can really support that. And then reishi is another one that has build amazing benefits. And then the adaptogens like Tulsi and rhodiola, love those. I'm going to share with you, this is one of my favorite teas, this Stress Adapt tea. They have a multitude of teas, and I'll make sure I link below. They're on Amazon. They have a rhodiola Tulsi combo that I love. It's like stress support. Fantastic. And then zinc. Zinc is another one that in any of my pre-vaccine protocols, zinc, sometimes it's up to 50 milligrams of zinc that you're going to look at taking in preparation. You don't necessarily need to do that the whole time, but these are things that for sure leading up to the vaccine a few days before and a few days after. So usually what you're looking at is a specialized type of protocol where 5 days before, day of, and then 5 days after, you are really fortifying and supporting your system. Now, I know one of the questions can be is, what do you do if you experience symptoms from the vaccine? And they can be, and these are really commonly acknowledged, but they can range from headache, they can range from body aches, and we know this already from the data from these current vaccines, but we also see this with others. You know, if you get a chickenpox vaccine, the shingles vaccine, you know, your boosters for any of, you know, if you're traveling, and then also, you know, tetanus. So it's not uncommon to have a headache. It's not uncommon to have body ache, fatigue, fever, and then also injection site soreness. And so I'm listing here specifically items that you can gather in your arsenal to have on hand in the event something occurs where you experience that. I know just a handful of people who have gotten vaccinated. And one of the things, I believe all of them have had Moderna. One of the things that they noticed, two things, within hours. One, soreness of the site, the injection site. So that's really easy. You can do topical like tea relief gel. That lowers inflammation level, you know, and sometimes too, depending on, I've been seeing people getting stuck on like, oh my gosh, they didn't pinch them or, you know, whatever. So sometimes it's like how it's administered that can cause the soreness to that area. You know, and some people who bruise more easily, the tea relief gel will minimize that topical inflammation. So that's really easy to do. But then, you know, a few hours later, one of the experiences or several of the experiences have been body aches or they've felt a headache. And that is part of that, well, it's working. It is doing what it needs to do and it's your body noting that. We don't want to eliminate the effectiveness and I don't know how that's been documented. And what we want to do is we want to help your body deal with some of those symptoms, the side effects. And so headaches, there's two really awesome homeopathics called belladonna and califos. Those are what I recommend in the event you have a headache. And if you are prone, like you might know, like, okay, I'm reactive. If you have red hair, you might be more reactive. So have these on hand, maybe take them an hour before you go in. There's nothing wrong with preparing for this vaccine so you have less of an effect. And it's, you know, it's efficacious, it's effective within, but you want to lower some of those side effects. Same with body aches. Turmeric tea is awesome for lowering body aches. Lots of research on that, as well as 1 drop of oil of oregano, you know, under your tongue, obviously with like a carrier oil or in that turmeric tea. That can really help minimize body aches. I recommend that for the flu. And so kind of treat it like, you know, you're going to have a little immune impact, but that can help lower that impact. Same with fatigue. So this is one of my favorites. This particular tea here, this is the Stress Adapt. This is the burnout blocker. So this, oh gosh, it's so good. It has cordyceps and it also has chaga. So this is an awesome tea. I want to open it up and show you guys. Oh gosh, it smells so good. So it also has cinnamon in here. But these are these little packs and you can, you know, drink a little tea, prep it before you go, be drinking it, you know, as you're waiting, you know, after you get your shot. And it can help get the antioxidant impact. You get all the benefits of chaga. And then also with cordyceps, that can also help with the fatigue that might occur. Now, these are rare cases where we see fever, but white willow bark, it's actually, I recommend white willow bark because it's the natural aspirin. That is what aspirin's derived from. You know, a lot of pharmaceuticals are derived from plants. Well, white willow bark has this awesome balance of pain relief and anti-inflammatory. So with aspirin, you don't always get all aspects of the plant. But white willow bark is awesome for that. So that's what I recommend. Your tea relief gel, that's awesome for limiting bruising and swelling. And man, I go through bottles of that with Gabriel. He's constantly bumping and into things and falling. And I mean, he had one serious fall, and I was like, oh my gosh, the bruising started to show up on his knee. I just slather the tea relief gel, boom, it's gone. I use that for all my surgical patients. It's phenomenal. So I do want to share with you, for many of you that want just kind of global, kind of a larger, more comprehensive snapshot. If you haven't downloaded this, my pandemic wellness guide, it's basically a daily wellness plan. It's comprehensive. It's heavily evidence-based. And this is based on, I think I did 300 shows or something at that nature with the live shows and researched everything that was coming out about, vitamin D and zinc and vitamin K for some of the blood clotting. But this really is focused at helping support and target your immune balance. Can also be used for folks who might be dealing with COVID currently. And again, it's not a COVID cure. It is to help you and your immune system recover. And so it is an adjunct to a lot of your efforts. And right now, the other thing that we've seen in the research, as I've kind of highlighted, we know that we have therapeutics that are not actively being used. We have great research, great data on them, and we're just not using them. And so I do hope you'll check out the Pandemic Wellness Guide. I've got it linked down below. I do need your email, and that's how I email it out. And it's comprehensive, and it also links to a kind of protocol segment. So if you're like, okay, I want to get everything all together, I have what I call my pandemic preparedness protocol. So in FullScript, which is my online physician scripting store, I have a protocol that's public, and that link, and even in the description box below, will take you to a multitude of these items that you see here, like moringa. Inflamex is really good anti-inflammatory. My community is a wonderful mushroom blend, so you're going to get all the chaga, the reishi. So it gives you all of those items that you really need to fortify and support your body throughout to keep you healthy and safe, because, masking we know is effective. Social distancing is effective. The vaccine is effective. But in many instances, people there's a gap. So you can have mask wearing, but there's still potential for exposure. So anyway, we can fortify and support our body and protect ourselves. I am all for, and that's why I've put this pandemic preparedness guide together. It's so helpful, and it also is something that is easy. I've cut through you having to do the research. So I've done it already. I've put together some of the best high quality supplementation that's out there. It's all clean, reputable brands that actually list all the ingredients. It's not proprietary or from MLMs, and it's really high quality. The other thing too, I don't know if I listed it on here, but if you shop my FullScript store, it's an automatic 10% off. And we have over 20,000 different products. We have 2 warehouses in the US, one in the East Coast and one out in Arizona. And we're shipping out Monday through Saturday. Super easy. Customer service is awesome. So they handle all of that for us. And you can get 10% off everything. So definitely check out this Pandemic Wellness Guide if you're interested in learning how to support your system further. And definitely, I welcome you to support my channel and my efforts by grabbing items out of my FullScript store. I hope you found that helpful. My question of the day for you is, are you considering getting the vaccine? And what questions do you have about the side effects or concerns that you might have? So I encourage you to comment in the comment box below. So I just ask that everybody respect the comment box below. And really the comments are for folks that are considering getting the vaccine and have valid questions. It's not a place for rampant misinformation or opinions against the vaccine. Those comments will be deleted. I'm very, very keen on keeping this a very healthy, safe, and nurturing environment for people to ask honest questions, and I'm happy to answer those. Now, if you'd like to get access to this members-only Saturday live show, it's super easy to join. All you have to do is go to our main YouTube channel, click the join button, It'll bring you to 2 different YouTube membership tiers. The second tier is our live show tier, and I call everybody who's in that community our live crew. So I hope you'll join our live crew for our Saturday live shows. All of the previous live shows are cataloged, and individuals at that second tier have access to all the previous live shows. So you can catch up if you haven't watched those yet. All links that I reference in that live show are also in the description box below. And I hope I will see you on our next Saturday Live.